Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. Now it's real time. Sponsored by Cokewell Casino Resort.
Welcome back, everyone. And finally, for the first time in way too long, I've got Nick Popov. He's the owner-operator of Peel, the Real Guide Service. He's down in Astoria with clients this morning. And there he is. Nick, how you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Doing good, Owen. How are you?
We're doing not as good as you. It sounds like you've already had a decent morning.
Yeah. There's been some fish around, a lot of wild fish, but I think that's kind of the standard down here this time of year.
Now, for you, up to this point, how's the season been in the Astoria fishery, the Buoy 10 fishery, up to the 24th of the month?
It's been a really good season overall, the amount of fish is, I say this every day to my clients, but I've seen more fish this year in the river than I've ever seen. We're seeing schools of 40, 50, 60 at times, but they're biting not the best. They're acting completely different than they typically would. A group of fish that you would typically get, triple or quad in, you're getting one bite maybe, or you're just getting stuffed, So they've been real weird. I don't know if it's a water temperature thing or if it's just, these fish just aren't feeding like they typically do. The one thing is different is there's a lot of bait this year. So the last couple of years, we haven't had a ton of anchovies and stuff in the estuary. And this year it's been the exact opposite. More bait. We've had whales back in the river, and I think that's playing a big part in it.
So you think the fish are just already fed up and maybe you just got to kind of coax them into biting, or what are you doing to kind of get them to go?
Yeah, it's weird. You'll go through a school of fish and they'll all eat, and then you'll go through a school that's twice as big and none of them will eat. So it's just kind of, all you can do is keep your gear in the water, keep it fishing, and fish effectively, and you're gonna come down here and catch some fish.
Anything that you're doing to help entice those bites, and what baits have you been using to be successful?
I'm a big bait guy. I fish a lot of herring and a lot of anchovies, but this year especially, and actually the past 2 years, really, the super baits have really been, they've really taken off. They've been down here, there's guys that have been running them since August 1st, and to be honest, those guys are having some of the best seasons they've ever had. So the super bait is pretty much almost a guarantee to come out here and catch some fish. And the nice part about it, you don't have to, it's not like you have to be a specialist to run a super bait. Put it on and troll fast.
And troll fast, that's a great tip, because I know a lot of folks, myself included, will sometimes troll too slow with those baits with 360s. But I'm assuming, we did get a report a couple of weeks ago where you were up by the bridge and you were fishing anchovies and you just smoked the whole fleet. So you do kind of bounce around between bait and hardware.
Yeah, I remember that day, actually. It's, that's been the deal. It's like one day they're eating anchovies and the next day they're eating spinners. So it's real important just to be versatile and have everything on board and be ready to make a change. Don't be stubborn, and get caught up in your own way.
And I know that I actually know the answer to this question, that you will move around based on what the tide's doing. But today, being Sunday, right, what's your plan for today? Are you going to be working your way upriver? Are you going to be working your way back down? What's your plan for today? And then I'm going to piggyback on that. What would be your advice for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before everything kind of changes as far as what's open down there?
Yeah, so today we have a big outgoing tide. So we're dealing with negative tides in the morning. And then we're getting some big incoming. So these tides are building through the week. And what's happening is right now we're just fishing low. So basically there's really only a couple places you can fish on these big outgoings. You either fish shallow on the sands or you fish in in this checkerboard troll. And that's where we're at right now. But I'm just going to continue to work my way downriver, towards the mouth. And I'll eventually dump off the tongue here at the end of the checkerboard troll and then go into the deep water and sit for, the start of the incoming, because as those fish pull in off the tide, you tend to get all those suspended fish out there in the deep water, and that's really when our best fishing has been on those incomings.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Great advice as always. So, Nick, things are going to change down there. You got closures, you got Chinook that closed, you got silvers that are only open, different parts of the river that might be more productive than the other. What's your plan when things do change? Are you going to work your way upriver? Are you going to head down on the coast someplace else? What's your plan as this month of August wraps up?
Well, honestly, my plan was to fish here till the 28th, but as you know, and I think everybody kind of knows, that that fishery upriver with all the weeds and the warm water, these fish aren't really, they're not stopping. They're coming in and they're just going upriver, and there's not a lot of opportunity up there right now. So I'm going to stay down here probably another 4 or 5 days, and hopefully by the first of the month I'll head up, fish out of St. Helens or somewhere down, maybe a little lower down by one of the mouths of one of them rivers. So that's kind of my plan, but just like this, it could change at any time. I may stay down here longer.
What kind of reports have you been getting from upriver from your crew of guys, which is extensive, of course, but what are the reports that you're getting up there from your set of other guides and friends?
Actually, one of the guys on my boat now fishes there a lot, upriver, and it's been the same thing for them. Lots of weeds, not very many fish. I think we have such warm water that these fish tend to just blow through that part of the river. So until this water, we're getting 100-degree days and stuff in the valley, and that makes it really tough. These fish are just going to blow through that. They're either going to hold in this estuary or they're going to blow up past the dam. And as you can see yesterday, there was 8,000 or 9,000 that went over the dam, and nobody really, did work on those fish, I guess, in the upper river. So it's just going to be a find out and see type deal. I'm going to stay down here until I start hearing better reports, because what I'm hearing now is not great.
Yeah, that's a very good point, especially when he's a professional. Everyone, again, this is Nick Popov. He's the owner of Peel Reel Guide Service, and this is live. He's down in Astoria. It is a really weird year. You've got numbers of silvers that we haven't seen and sizes of silvers that we haven't seen this early in a very long period of time. What's your take on that? And will that be a fishery that you ultimately target later on in October or the latter part of September?
Yeah, So the fishery, some of the fish we caught today some of the silvers we caught today were giants. For this time of the year, usually we're looking at like 6 to 8 pounders, and we've already caught more. Yesterday, every silver we killed was over 10 pounds already. And we caught one the other day that was 15.4 pounds on the scale. So wow. It's like, there's some giant silvers around. I think the numbers are I think this whole run is grossly underestimated. I think we're going to see a lot more fish than we might get a bite right here. This whole time we've been talking, I've had fish swimming in my gear, under the gear. But this is what we're dealing with this year. But yeah, the silvers are going to be great. I think it's going to be a great fishery. I'm going to actually head down to the coast, down with Big Dave, and do that wild retention down there. This year they gave us 3 wild coho instead of 2. So I will head down south and do some fishing down there in the estuaries down in the Tillamook area.
Well, that's a perfect segue for me, because our next interview is going to be Big Dave down there in that area that you just referred to. So first things first, Nick, thank you for spending a few minutes with us this morning, man. I appreciate that. I know that you're a busy guy, but we appreciate your advice and your insight. If you ever have that opportunity to get out and go fishing with Nick, make sure you take advantage of it. We'll make sure to show you his information now. But Nick, be safe, good luck, and again, thanks for sharing some info with us. We appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate it, Owen. Thanks for having me out, man.
You bet, bud. Be safe. All right, we're going to go ahead and cut to a break. Again, that was Nick Popov from Peel Reel Guide Service. Now, we're going to come back with our Chevy Silverado Tech Tip of the Week. Another one. Questions have been coming in about our upcoming duck season. Yes, I get very excited about that. Specifically about decoys, I'm going to kind of expand on that with a little bit of motion talk, but it'll be a quick one before we start an interview with Big Dave from Big Dave's Fishing Adventures. We'll be right back.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Chevy Silverado and the impressive Turbo Max engine. Flex your muscle with the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Official truck of Outdoor GPS.